Good morning. I was thinking today, there's so many things that God has allowed us to be a part of over these years, and just thinking about how good He's been, but specifically the ministries, the opportunities to preach, the people that have gotten saved. It's hard to remember after almost half a century the wonderful things God did. I was in a secular college and growing as a Christian there, and able to lead my first soul to Christ while I was there. Then I went to a Bible college for a year and a half and learned so much from the great people there. Then I went to Howells Anderson College, and 2 summers was able to work for our youth pastor Craig Scott back home, and just great opportunities that God gave us, and people saved and places to preach, and we were so many things. I remember we took a group of 2 or 3 college young interns like myself, and then a group of junior hires, and the youth pastor, and we ran vacation Bible school at a couple of churches, and we'd go out during the day, gather people together, bring them to the service in the afternoon, and the teenagers and did most of the teaching. The children and the college students did the teaching, and to the teenagers and young adults, and then then in the afternoon we'd go out again soul winning and visiting, and bring people to a different church, to another vacation Bible school. In the evening service, we got adults coming, and the youth pastor would preach to the adults, and wonderful things that God allowed us to be a part of. And one of the churches we had meetings at, I think they had a higher attendance with our group on an evening service than they'd ever had in the church in history. And just the things that God, and that was early on, long before I was a pastor, but the things God has allowed me to be a part of, my wife and I, through these many years. I've got a picture, you can't see it in the lens, but a picture of a group of us in Israel. What a great trip. Just very, very memorable. The trip was phenomenal, but the people who led it were the ones that made the difference. David Sloan being key to that. He's been a missionary and taught for Brother Trieber for a long time, but on staff, their Spanish pastor. But so many things he does. He's talked about a guy who wears many hats. But again, through the years, the people that God has allowed me to get to know, to learn from, people I've been able to serve side by side with, the people that we've just, there's a guy I visited multiple weeks, and I'd catch him after work, and finally he got saved, and as we got talking, got to spend more time together, find out he's an Erickson, he's a cousin of mine through people back in Iowa, and here he is getting saved in California through the ministry of his cousin, and we both end up in the same little tiny town, and just story after story of great things. The work of God is the greatest thing it could possibly be, but the key is it's work. And I want to take a minute and talk about it today. In the book of Ecclesiastes, Ecclesiastes gets neglected an awful lot, but I'm just going to mention a couple verses here. Ecclesiastes chapter 10, verse 18 says, "By much slothfulness the building decayeth, and through idleness of the hands the house droppeth through." He's talking about idleness. He's talking about the slothfulness and the idleness. And I'm thankful that I was brought up in a home where we worked. We were busy. There were no video games being played, and TV was not a luxury we got very much either. We worked. We were busy people. And especially my teenage years, junior high, high school years, college years, and then in Bible college and on, it was go, work, working a job to make a little money, and then working in the church and finding a way to get through Bible college. But slothfulness and laziness just destroys. The house just crumbles around you. And it's that way with church work, with a Sunday school class, a bus route. I'm just concerned that we've got a lazy generation, and you can't do the work of God and be lazy. It's work. It's not all happy and bubbly and fun. It's just get up, grind through the day, get the things done that need to get done, stay up late, work long hours. It's work. It's the work of the ministry, and it's God that works in you. Philippians says, God that worketh in you both to will and to do his good pleasure. God's working on us, and we are to be working for him. Here in Ecclesiastes again, chapter 11, he says, he that observeth the wind shall not sow, and he that regardeth the clouds shall not reap. If you're sitting around looking, well, too windy to go out in the field and sow seed, well, there's clouds coming, it's probably going to rain. The people who keep making excuses to not work, they're going to be in big trouble. He goes on in Ecclesiastes 11:5, as thou knowest not what is the way of the Spirit, nor how the bones do grow in the womb of her that is with child, even so thou knowest not the works of God, who maketh all in the morning. You don't know. He says, you don't know what God's doing. Just get to work. You don't know if God's going to have it rain or not rain. Get to work. You don't know if God's going to have the wind blow your stuff all the way, but get to work. And just work. Verse 6 of Ecclesiastes 11, in the morning sow thy seed, in the evening withhold not thy hand, for thou knowest not whether shall prosper either this or that, or whether they both shall be alike good. And there's so many more verses about work, but I like those verses in particular today. Is thinking about them and the work of the ministry. To be good at an instrument, you have to work at it. Unless you're there's a few people unusually gifted, but normally we just got to work at it. To be good at a job. When I bring people on our church staff, they don't know what to do. They don't know where their time should be. What am I involved in? And they have to inch their way in and develop themselves into the work. But it's work, and it's long hours. And a lot of times, early throughout the 40 years, I work long hours, and many times I put the kids to bed, and then I go back to the office and study and work, or I'd go out and drive to people's homes. I would drive to everybody's home in the church and pray for them. And if it was maybe a single mom or a single lady, I wouldn't go down by her house in the middle of the night. I'd park at the end of the next street and whatever I thought was close enough to be appropriate, but I would pray. And I pray for you, the people of God. Often I'd stick a note in the windshield wiper of the guy getting up early to go to work in the morning. Each one, I'm praying for you, and thank God for your family, love preacher, and 2 a.m. or whatever. And I want to know I'm up praying for him, and I'm thinking about him. And it's the work of prayer. It's the work of Bible study. It's the work of soul winning. To win people to Christ and to get the gospel out, it's work. And you just go out. Many people go out once or twice visiting a little bit or maybe passing out some tracts, but they don't keep going because it's work. They want this hip hooray, merry-go-round, Ferris wheel kind of activity. It's work. You knock on doors. You talk to people on the street. You knock on more doors. You stop people as they're going in or out of their home in their cars. It's work. It's work to win souls. It's work to preach the gospel. It's work to study the Bible. It's work to teach a class and do a good job. It's the work. God has called us. Nehemiah, if you read the book of Nehemiah, he's up helping build the walls, and the people came down trying to get him to stop. And he said, come down and meet with us. And he said, I am doing a great work. I cannot come down. It was work. And, our churches are turning to worldliness to try and draw people in when they should turn to work to get people in. Bus routes across America are dwindling to almost nothing because people won't work. Building a bus is a lot of work. You got to visit the families, but the poorer families, they move so often you lose them. If all you do is keep that one set of people, you're going to have nobody coming because they're going to move. Maybe they'll turn into teenagers and get occupied with the things of the world. You've got to work at a bus route and work at a bus route. If you're going to build an adult Sunday school class, it is work. And I work a lot at mine, and my class gets neglected because I've got the whole church to focus on. But I work at my class, and I send texts, and I send emails, and I write lessons. I print like a church bulletin. I print a bulletin for my class and fill in the blanks on the inside, and timely news or jokes on the outside, something to make it interesting. And I take care of making sure there's coffee and sodas, and the ladies get together and get snacks, but I'll often bring the food to make sure there's food there. It's work. It's the work. Church work is work. You don't build a great business without work, and you're not going to build a great ministry without work. Even to study the Bible, hour after hour. You don't read 15 minutes a day and get to know your Bible. You'll just be anemic spiritually and barely existing. If you only read your Bible once a week or twice a week, you're barely alive. You're on life support in the intensive care room. But to read your Bible and work, see that it isn't an easy thing we do. It's work. Jesus said, I must work the work of him that sent me while it is day, for the night cometh when no man can work. It is the work of the ministry. Jesus had to work at it, and it's a great work, but it is work. And if we are raising a generation of lazy kids who know nothing of work, and when it's uncomfortable or difficult or too hard or too pressing or whatever, moms and dads don't make the kids work, and the kids don't want to work, and so they know how to play video games, but they're worthless when it comes to work. And if you're raising a child, you get that child to work, and you keep them working and make them work, find jobs for them, and we need a rekindling of the love of work in our country, a love to work and a love to do a good job at our work. And I don't ever remember not working growing up, and I'm so thankful now for parents that not only made me work, but they gave me opportunities to work, and they gave, if I saw something I'd like to do that was a productive working thing, they helped me get into it and helped me figure out a way to finance it. And work, by the time a young person's 18, 20, 22 years old, they ought to get where they like work, where they like seeing a job well done, where they get off work and they realize I can produce more at this job than anybody else in the place. There ought to be that personal work ethic pride. Work. God elevates the worker. Over in Thessalonians, he said, if a man won't work, neither should he eat. And God thinks if you're not going to work, now obviously there's crippled people that are elderly, but if you're not going to work, God says you starve to death. Just starve to death. God is all for working. And I hope we will work at this. I don't know what else anybody else is doing, but at our church, I want to work at it. I want to build the church as much as God would use me. I know it's he that builds the church, but I'm going to give him all of me I can give him. And I do. I work long hours, and I run. And you ask my wife and family, I put in hours, ask the staff. I want to work. I love it. But I also want to see something happen. I want the buildings filled, and then I want them filled twice. And I want new buildings built, and I want new Sunday school classes started, and I love the work of God. But if I was at a steel mill or I was at a grocery store, I'd want to do well. I'd want to do my very best. And I hope that we're all raising children that have a work ethic, because we are sure raising a lazy, slothful generation. Hey, let's work at this thing of loving our spouse and caring for our home and children and training our kids to live for God. It is work to raise good kids. And that's another subject. Hope you have a great day. Thanks for joining us today.